Our family has been invited to a baby shower. And what is a maker to do? Well, we get busy. So in today's video, I have 10 handmade baby gifts to share with you. Some are crocheted and some are sewn, but I am especially proud of the sewing projects because one of my crafty goals has been to make more sewing toys. And I think a lot of these projects have given me the confidence to move closer towards that goal. So let's get into the fun stuff. So for this baby shower, they're making a special request. And let me read it to you. It comes on this beautiful written card. And it says, "One small request we hope won't be too hard. Please bring a book instead of a card. By signing your book, we will remember and share your special gift even when you're not there." Isn't that so sweet? So they're requesting a book for baby. And since our family of 3, we have 3 members, I decided, and since I have a pretty generous budget to work with for this gift, so I decided that all 3 of us would pick a book, and then I'd make a toy to go along with that book. So Miko chose Harold and the purple crayon. So this is her choice. And of course we have to have a purple crayon. And then, so as soon as I was done with this, by the way, Miko grabbed it and she started rubbing it on every
to make sure
surface.
It worked.
Yeah, and did it work?
Yeah, it worked really well. I think you need to make me one.
So well that the tip, in a matter of 1 minute, was fuzzy. So fuzzy I had to go with scissors and clip it because it started to peel. So yeah,
You're just sharpening the crayon.
Sharpening it or dulling it? Maybe sharpening it when I'm trimming it, but you're dulling it.
Yeah, because it's being used with love.
Well, hopefully that's what baby does with the purple crayon. Now this purple crayon, I followed a tutorial here on YouTube by 365 Days of Dana. And I will have the link to her tutorial down below in the description box. The tutorial was easy to follow and it was really quick. I had no issues with it and I love the colors. For this pattern, I believe she does use safety eyes and then she puts the kawaii face. But I omitted that. I just wanted a purple crayon so it can go with this purple crayon book. Now our second member is my fiance and he grew up with the Mr. Men books. But because baby is a girl, I did a little bit of research and they have Little Miss books for girls. Instead of Mr. Men, they're Little Miss books. And so we chose 3 different Little Miss books. We have Little Miss Sunshine, Little Miss Princess, and Little Miss Sparkle. And they each have their own story and you get to learn about each of their characters and their different personalities. And if you look on the back of these books, they have the whole plethora of all the different Little Miss characters. They're super fun, quick, easy reads. And I decided for this that I would make Little Miss Princess because I asked a bunch of questions as far as like what is baby's gender, what is baby's name if they know it, any particular things that the parents like, what kind of colors and things. So they came back with they like pastels, they like strawberry patterns, pink, what else? All kinds of animals, and then baby name. So because pink was one of their favorite colors, I ended up choosing Little Miss Princess. And here is my Little Miss Princess. Now there is no pattern for this. I actually made this from scratch. And I'm super happy and excited with the way that she came out. I started off with her feet. And then basically it determined the rest of the body, because I didn't know how big the doll was going to end up being, but it was the foot and the feet that determined the rest of it, and I just winged it, and I'm really surprised with how it came out. I'm super excited, and I think it looks a lot like her. If you were to look at the picture with the freckles, she would look a lot like her. But I'm super happy with the way that she came out. So for her eyes, I used felt, and then I stitched it on using some embroidery floss. I drew on the freckles with some Sharpie. I also did the nose out of felt and then stitched it on, and then embroidered the mouth with black embroidery floss. But when I stitched it on, I didn't feel like the mouth was secure enough. I felt like the threads were loose. I mean, they weren't loose, but I felt like you could still move it around. So what I did was I needle felted it. You know, the felting needle that you use for needle felting. Anyways, I needle felted the thread into the head, so in the hopes that it would secure it, and sure enough, it kind of flattened it out and made it kind of one with the face, and I feel like it's more secure. I also, because of the thickness of the felt, usually if you were to run your finger across just the outer edge of the felt, you can feel the edge of the felt. It's pretty sharp edge, but so what I ended up doing was I ended up needle felting the edge of the eyes and the nose, and what it did was it ended up beveling the edges, which I thought was a nice professional looking finish to it. And Miko's going like this. My gosh, this girl. Anyways,
professional work right here.
You know, I thought it was a nice touch. It beveled the edge, which I honestly didn't know what I was doing. I was just trying to make it smoother, and sure enough, it smoothed it to such a point that it beveled the edge, and it looks and feels really nice. So what I was worried about was baby just picking at the edge, because you know their fingers feel for things. Babies feel for things, and they start picking at that thing, right?
It seems very targeted, but okay.
Because Miko was the same way. So what I wanted to prevent that. I didn't want her to start scratching away at the eyes or the nose. So when it's beveled, it's less likely that she'd be, you know, wanting to pick at it. So I think it turned out really nice. I think that's a great tip. If you're sewing on felted pieces onto your amigurumi, try and needle felt the edges. You might be surprised at the nice professional look that goes into it. And then for the braid, I attached it with a glue gun, just spot glued here and there, and then in between I also needle felted to try and secure it a little bit more. And then her shoes are removable, and her crown is actually a two-piece. It's this upper part, and then this base is just a flat circle. And then when I went to do a test, I ended up grabbing this crown and I just let it hang, and I was like swinging it around, you know, because that's what kids do, is they grab things and they swing things around, because you know that's basically what toys are for. They're for loving, cuddling, and abusing. So that's what I did. I did a test, and then I was immediately regretful. What I ended up doing was stretching out the stitches at the base. I mean, there were gaps so big I'd be able to see you through it. So I was so bummed and I was like, oh no, what did I do? So what did I do? I busted out my needle felting needle and I needle felted it. Basically at the base towards this circular base of the crown, and it did the trick. I don't see any holes and it's pretty secure, which I'm not gonna hang because with all the polyfill stuffing that I put in the head, she is rather heavy, and for it to dangle from this small little crown, it's a lot of stress. So just as long as I hand gift this in perfect condition, I'm happy. But if and when baby or parents start to grab it from the crown and start swinging it around and it starts stretching out, well, that's just normal wear and tear of a toy, right? But I am super happy with the way that she came out. There's a picture of Little Miss Princess like this with her hands by her mouth and then her hands by her side. And that basically made me decide where to place her hands so she could do both. And I'm really proud of myself because this is all from scratch and it was basically just a one-shot deal. I didn't have to, I mean, the foot is probably the one that I worked on the most, but from then on it was just one-shot deal and it just came out together. So I'm really, really happy and excited. So when Mom and Dad read Little Miss Princess, she'll have a little somebody to cuddle with. Now, when I grew up, I never read any books, so I was a very slow reader. I wasn't very strong in English. It was one of my Achilles heel. So I'm not naturally a reader. I enjoy listening to audiobooks, but I'm not one to pick up a book and just be like reading for pleasure. If it's reading, it's most likely for learning or maybe for crocheting, like a pattern book. But yeah, other than learning and crocheting, I don't typically pick up a book. So Caroline from For the Love of Crochet and Cassandra from Craftably Ever After have a series, a video series going on called Hooking Up with Books. And one of the books that they covered recently was The Boy, the Mole, the Fox, and the Horse. Yeah, I have to really concentrate on that title because there's so many of them. But at first I was like, oh, it doesn't sound interesting. But when I watched Caroline's video, one of her videos, she read a few pages out of the book and it really touched my heart and I thought, oh, that sounds like a really nice book. And it got me curious, so I went on my Libby app and started to research to see if my local library had the book, and sure enough, I put it on hold and eventually it got to me and I read it pretty quickly because it was a very good read and I thoroughly enjoyed it. What did you think about the book?
It was really good. I love the mole.
Both of our favorite character is the mole.
Yeah.
So my book for baby is this book. It may not be a baby type of book to read, but I think this is a classic book that would be a great addition to any little person library. So I think this is a great addition for baby. And so of course I had to make a mole. So I made a mole, and this is by Erinna Lee, and I found this pattern. I looked through both of my books by her and unfortunately she didn't have a mole, but I went onto her Etsy shop and I found one, so I was super excited. I purchased it immediately. And then of course, if you have a mole, which I think he looks just like Mole, like he sits up just like Mole.
He does like a little bald though.
Yeah, I think we both thought the same thing. Like, he looks a little bald, so then I thought maybe I'd give him a little tiny tuft of hair. But I think I ran out of steam, so I'm just gonna keep him as is. I think he looks like a mole. Moles should be bald. I don't know. I don't know if I'm gonna change him if I give him a little tuft of. He might look like a bird or something with a tuft of hair. But anyways, I ran out of steam, so he's gonna be bald. And then of course, if I made Mole, I had to give him his cake. And so because I think it's the mom that likes strawberry patterns, so I ended up making him a strawberry cake. Now this pattern I found on Stringy Ding Ding's blog website, and it's a free pattern. And look it, it's so cute. And so this pattern comes with the strawberry. You can make the strawberry. I did modify it slightly because originally the strawberry had a pointy, it was longer and it had a pointy bottom, which I didn't care for. So I just modified it slightly so that it was shorter and a more rounded bottom. And then this little whipped cream part, it was supposed to be like a little dollop of cream that goes on the side, but I thought it looked like, to be honest, I feel like it looked like a poop emoji that was white. So then I ended up, I made the whipped cream pattern according to pattern, but I ended up just unraveling it and making it into the shape of a ring, so it looked like the strawberry was just sitting on a dollop of whipped cream and it's smushed in there. So that was my idea for the cake. So I'm super happy with the way that he came out. Look at it, so cute. You know this isn't gonna last very long. If you read you should read the story. It's a really cute story. One thing I'd like to say about the mole, I feel like attaching the head to the body was a little tricky because you have to add the sweater onto the body before you attach the head, because I don't think you'll be able to get it over the hips of the mole or the head of the mole afterwards. So you have to basically put it onto the body and then attach your head. So because of that, I basically had to pin this collar down as best I could, just so that I could have better visibility while attaching the head. So just a little tip for you should you follow this pattern. My next baby gift is this cute baby teether / rattle. So this bottom part is a wooden birch wood teether, and then in the head I added a rattle. Isn't it so cute? I had a pattern and it's a Bear Lovey, and I remembered that pattern when I wanted to make a teether. So I really love the bear, so I took the head from that pattern, and then I followed Lily Lisa's tutorial here on YouTube on how to crochet around a wooden teething ring, and then I basically just improvised on the tail. Now I did find inspiration as for the composition for this teether on Etsy, and I will have that link down below. But normally most of the teethers that I see just look like this, and it's just maybe the head just here. But I super love the way that it has the head kind of off center, and then there's a tail, because it kind of looks like this is the body, and this is the top of the back, and this is the forelegs and the hind legs, and then the tail. That's kind of like how I see it, and I just thought the composition of it was more fun than the typical one that I usually see. So the pattern that I'm speaking of as far as the baby lovey, Cassandra of Craftably Ever After, she made one just recently, and it comes with like a honeycomb shaped lovey, and then the bear head, of course, and then it has like a honey pot. It's a super cute pattern. I made it once before. Love, love, love the way that it comes out and the feel of it. I used Hobby Lobby's sugar wheel cotton for that lovey. Oh, it was so lovely. I super love that lovey. And yeah, and I love the bear. So I will have Cassandra's video linked also down below. But I super love the way that this came out. My next baby gift is a tiny toy blanket. And this is, ta-da! A ribbon tag blanket. Now for this, I followed a YouTube tutorial here by Nikki from Pin Cut Sew. I love her channel. I love Nikki. She's a great personality and I love her content. She does a lot of sewing tutorials and tips and tricks and things, and then her personality she's a sweetheart, and she's a great mom and a great wife. It's just, you should go check her out. She's fun to watch. Now this pattern was super fun. I've never made anything like this before, so it was fun for me. It was fun shopping in my own stash for the different, what are these, ribbons, and then some I did buy, but I super love the way that it came out. And then, so this front is a fleece remnant that I found at Joann's, which came out really nice. I mean, remnant. And then it was on clearance or sale, additional sale. But anyways, I got it for dirt cheap. And then this is flannel. So they're both nice and soft. And then I hand tied it with pearl cotton thread. Pearl cotton, P-E-R-L-E cotton, or pearl cotton. It's what they use for embroidery. So that's what I did to kind of keep the two pieces from sliding together. But I super love the way that it came out. According to Nikki, she sews a lot for babies and she teaches a lot of kids how to sew, and she has 3 kids of her own. But from her experience, she knows that babies love tags, and so I just thought this would be a great gift for baby, especially since I found this strawberry pattern on clearance. Remnant. I'm all about the deals.
Oh, always.
Even Miko knows. I taught her well. Mama proud. Now, there is a modification that you can do to something like this, and that is to put a piece of plastic in the middle, kind of like a quilt. Instead of putting batting, you would put like a crinkle plastic. So you would have a crinkle tag toy. But, so I was thinking of making maybe a separate one, and then again, I ran out of steam, or putting it in this one, but then I decided to just make one without, so that I could, you know, leave the parents with some level of sanity, because you know how toys and noise and sounds and lights can drive the adults crazy. So I decided to omit the crinkle from this one, but maybe it'll come out in a future gift to baby. If you are interested in learning how to make a crinkle tag toy, I will leave a link down below in the description box. There are a ton of YouTube tutorials here. My next baby item is this sensory toy. I am so excited about this. Again, this is another project that I have never attempted previously, and I'm super happy with the way that this came out.
I'm super happy with the way it came out too.
And why is that, Miko?
Because I've been playing with it for a little.
A little? She's on the side over here playing with this zipper here. She wants one of these. She says it's like
a fidget cube, you know?
You know how kids, they have fidget toys? This is a bigger fidget toy, just in the form of a cube, and it's soft and it's squishy, and she loves her stuffies. So this is right up her alley. But I mean, these are made for babies. I don't know what you're gonna be doing with all these tags, babe.
You know, anybody of any age can enjoy anything, so don't judge.
You heard it from her. She's a teenager. Even teenagers like these things, apparently. Now, like I said, this is the first time I've attempted anything like this. I'm super happy with the way that it came out. It was super fun shopping for the different fabrics. I love this. It's like, I think that this is a minky type of fabric, but it's got these lumps and bumps. Did you say you don't like this fabric, babe?
No, I do. Of course I do.
Oh, why did you ask me? You're like, do you like this, Minky? Like, you asked me kind of funny, and I was like, yeah, I like it. Why?
Because it reminds me of like pimples or like acne. It's so weird. At first, but then I was like, oh, it's
Squeeze
not
your
that bad.
zit.
Well, at first, but then I played with it and I was like, oh, this is actually
It
nice.
is fun. It's a soft, bumpy texture, and then it's a minky fabric, so it's nice and soft. So this is super fun.
You're...
Most of these are cotton. This is cotton. This is flannel. So I have different textures here, which I'm super excited about. So the different ribbons, there's different ones. This one is, I'm not sure, it feels like polyester. I thought it was cotton. Apparently not. This is a satiny type of feel. And then this one's got stitches on there so you can feel the little lumps and bumps. And then this one's got lace. And then some of the loops are attached differently. Like this one is an open loop, and then this one is folded onto itself. And then I love the checkerboard pattern. I love the black and white touch. Oh yeah, and then here's the cotton twill, and that's wide. So different textured ribbons, and then different widths. And then this one has like these little fuzzy bits on the edges. I thought was fun. And then I have this elastic, which is a nice soft elastic. This is a fold over elastic, and I love the feel of it.
It's so nice.
It is nice, and it's kind of fun to just play with it. I don't know. And then I added this little piece of vinyl. It looks like leather, but it's not. It's got a little bit of texture like leather. But I just thought it would be fun for baby to just feel. And then of course we have the zipper, which Miko loves to play with.
Yes.
And then there's a piece of lace that baby can just kind of just play with. So yeah, I'm super excited. And then it's soft. And of course, in one of these, you can also add a rattle or a bell even. So yeah, so super fun. I love, love, love the way that it came out. It was a little tricky because, as Nikki mentions, there is a little bit of spatial intelligence when it comes to assembling this thing. But if you take it nice and slow and you watch her tutorial, you can do it too. It's super fun. I would love to make another one of these again. So I think this is a must make for any baby. And Miko's like,
maybe not for any baby, you know, any person, anybody.
Anybody. My next baby gift is a lovey. Now, I wanted to make something small, just something small for little baby hands, and I thought this came out to be a very nice size. This is made using Feels Like Butter. I think it's made by, I think it's made by Lion brand. Feels Like Butter. And then there, I think Red Heart and also Hobby Lobby has a similar feeling yarn. You know how there's different brands that make similar yarns? Anyways, it's a little softer yarn. It's fun to work up with. So it's nice and soft, not plush, but it is soft, softer than cotton. And I love the way that it came out. Now this pattern comes from this book, and in this book she has 30 animals and friends, she says. But usually she'll have like an adult animal, like a dog, and then a baby animal to go along with it, which is a puppy. So she has a regular size sheep, a larger one, and then this is the lamb. So this is the baby size. And they are a little bit different as far as construction. The baby ones have this foot or these legs, and they're basically tied, like similar to Mama Made minis, where the legs are tied. But this is super dainty, super cute. I love this little bit of knot. And yeah, it's just really simple. And I will have linked down below in the description box where in one of my previous podcast episodes, I did make mention that I did find an error when it comes to making these loveys in this book. And I do also explain how I modified it so that you can make your lovey more symmetrical, because I find that the pattern, the way that it's written, ends up with an asymmetrical shaped lovey. And yeah, so anytime I work any pattern out of this book, I will modify it slightly. So I will have that video linked down below where I explain that. But I super love the way that this came out. So this is a nice small lovey. My next baby gift is also another lovey. And if you are a crocheter and you make amigurumis, you already know this book, because it's all the rage. It's the book that everybody's working out of, and if you do markets, you probably make this stuff. So it is Mama Made Minis Knotted Loveys, and everybody and their moms are making this. And I don't typically work with plush yarns, so I didn't jump on the bandwagon soon enough, but you know, baby's calling, so I had to make one of these, of course, because otherwise the bandwagon's gonna like run away without me in it. So I chose to make this fawn, and I super love the way that it came out. So cute. Now, this wasn't all fun and games. I actually started off with a bunny. Here's my sad little bunny. She's unfinished because I decided towards the tail end that I wasn't going to gift this little guy. I love working with burlap velvet. It's my favorite plush yarn to work with. It's soft. It's so fun to work with because it just glides against your fingers, and it's fun to work with. It's my favorite. So I don't usually work with burlap blanket, or what is that favorite that everybody loves? The Premier Parfait Chunky, or any of those other chenille type of yarns. I don't usually pick those up because I love the burlap velvet. So of course I was going to try the burlap velvet when it came to this project. And she turned out super duper cute, I gotta admit. However, when I did place her down overnight and I picked her up, I feel like this little guy was dancing in the middle of the night, and somehow things worked their way out. I don't know what was going on. But the next day I started finding these loops around the body, and some of them are loose. Like here's one that's kind of loose. So I started picking at them one by one to see what was going on. I didn't know what was going on. Some of them, 2 of them apparently ended up being yarn ends, tail ends, which I do burn my ends to try and stop it from fraying any further. And when you do that, it kind of leaves it crusty and hard like plastic, because that's basically what the yarn is made out of. And I do weave in the ends. However, I do like leaving a tail so that it doesn't easily work its way out, but this one did, and this one did. So what I think is going on is the burlap velvet yarn is so slick that it just, these ends just work their way out. And then also for this guy, I don't think this is a yarn end. I think this is part of the stitch of the fabric. So the head is worked in single crochet, which is a tight stitch, which I'm fine with because I've made amigurumis with burlap velvet before and I've had no issue with it. But in the body, you're using taller stitches, taller than single crochet. And there's more spacing in between the stitches and the yarn is slick, so the stitches aren't as tight. And so you end up with, or actually I did, and I'm a tight crocheter. I crochet tight.
Yeah.
But I find with plush yarns, I don't crochet as tight. And so maybe that's part of my problem, but I'm getting this issue where I'm getting these loose little bits from my stitches. So because of that, I don't feel comfortable gifting this to baby. And as far as these little ends, I guess what I could do to hack this is maybe tie on another piece of yarn onto this to extend it and then work its way up into the head and work the ends in there so it's trapped in the head and not in the flat body where it can work its way out. So for my purposes, this is just going to be in my stash for like a learning process for me. So I did end up doing another attempt, and I chose to use the Premier Parfait Chunky, and that I got from Caroline from For the Love of Crochet. She gifted them to me, I think last year, quite a while ago. The first time I met her in person, actually, she gifted it to me. And no, it was the second time. It was during our play date. And she gifted it to me, and only now I'm finally getting around to trying it. So this is my first time trying it. So this is Parfait Chunky, and this is also Parfait Chunky. But this color for the feet and the hands, and in these little accent pieces for the forehead, these are made using Big Twist Posh, which was recently released and recently sold out. And you know the current situation with Joann's and bankruptcy. Nobody knows if they will be restocking the Posh yarn, but it seems to be a favorite of amigurumists especially. So hopefully they will bring it back. But I was lucky enough to grab a couple of skeins of this color, and the two yarns worked out perfectly for this project, and it helps that it's different parts of the body. So even if this came out, even if the hands and the feet came out a little bit smaller or bigger, it wouldn't have been that great of a big deal. And this is basically just for accent, so it's not that big of a deal. But yeah, they played very well in this project, and the finished project is super nice and soft. I love it. Now my fiance calls this roadkill. It's got a head and a flat body.
So insulting.
It is, it's insulting.
He's so cute.
It is very cute, and I love the floppy head. I love that I love it. Now, when working this pattern, there will be a tendency, because of the color change dynamics, you will end up with some speckling or spotting, kind of like this. That's exactly what was happening on this side of the face. But to clean it up, what I did was I used some scrap yarn of this color, the same yarn. I just cut a scrap piece, and then what I did was, see these straight stitches here along the edges? I basically just embroidered and went over those spotting that looks like this to cover it up. And basically it disappears and it makes it look more clean. And so if I wanted to, I could do the same technique or trick with this to make these disappear. But again, I ran out of steam, so this is good enough. And then for the nose and the eyes, I did use worsted weight yarn. I'm super happy with the way that the eyes came out, because normally when I embroider eyes, it kind of turns out like a cat eye shape where it's more tall and pointy on the tops and bottom. But this one turned out more circular, so I'm super happy that it turned out the way that it did. And then the nose is also embroidered, so it's just going back and forth stitches. Now, in order to kind of, because I was embroidering back and forth so many stitches, I was worried that baby would pick at the stitches. So what I ended up doing was busting out my trusty little felting needle, and I felted the eyes and the nose to try and make it more one piece, if that makes any sense, because otherwise the individual yarns, you can actually pick at it and move it around. I mean, I tried to secure it as best I could, but I mean, really, you can pick at it. But with the needle felting, it's felted together. The yarn strands are felted together, so it's more connected. And I love that. And I feel more secure about it. And I love the way that it came out. My next baby gift is, I'm super excited about this one. It's a stuffed animal. It is so cute. I am super excited about this one because to me it looks like one of those store-bought toys. It's one of them soft plushy fabrics, and normally you would see like a tag sticking out, but it's not. It's handmade. It's handmade by me. Now I will say, if you put the ears up, it looks like a bunny, but really it's supposed to be a puppy, so you need to lay the ears down and look at its puppy tail to remind you it's a puppy. And I think it has to do with the colors that I chose, maybe, and then the fact that the ears are super long and floppy, it doesn't help the cause. So yeah, even Miko just called it a bunny. She says, "What's next? The bunny?" And I said, "No, you mean my puppy?"
Well, you know, it's two completely different animals with the ears up
Yeah,
and
I
the ears
know.
down.
Yeah, I have to admit, with the ears up, it does look like a bunny. And I really think if I chose different colors, maybe it won't look like that. But yeah, I'm super happy with the way that it came out. Now, this is the first time I've tried to make a stuffed animal. I've tried to make sewn dolls, but never animals. And especially not with this type of fabric, the soft, minky, plushy type fabric. It is so cute. And it's squishy, just like the toys in the store. I mean, this looks legit toy, store-bought toy. That's what I feel. I'm super proud with the way that it came out. Now this pattern is by Victoria of 10 by 2 Studio, and I will have a link to her Etsy shop down below. This pattern comes with 8 different animals. It includes a piggy, a dog, a cat, a mouse, a bear, a goat, a deer, and a bunny. I have been wanting to sew toys for the longest time, and with this baby shower, I feel like I've accomplished that. I made the sensory toy, that's sewn. I made the tag toy, that's sewn. I made this stuffed animal, I made... What else is sewn? My next project, which I will be mentioning in just a minute. And I'm super proud of that one too. I am super proud of all of the toys, but especially of the sewn ones, because I don't know what it is about babies. Babies make me do things. They make me push past my fears and my perfectionism, and they just make me do the things that I want to do. Like, if I want to make something, baby's coming, I will make it. Fears and perfectionism aside, I will make it. I don't know what it is. It's like they have superpowers over me. They make me do things. And so normal Gayle has been procrastinating. I had this pattern for over a year. When do I make it? When a baby comes. I mean, and look at the way that it came out. I am so impressed. I look forward to making the other animals in this pattern pack. So super happy.
When you get to it.
When I get to it. But now that I know that I made one, and now that I know how easy, and I shouldn't be afraid or intimidated, especially with this fabric. Like, I have to admit, I was intimidated by this fabric. And when I worked with it, it was like, that wasn't bad. That wasn't as bad as I thought and I made it out to be. So yeah, I'm looking forward to making more of these now that I know that I can do it. And I'm so impressed. Now for the eyes, I did use felt and I stitched it on by hand. And then the nose is also embroidered with some embroidery floss. And then the ears have this little touch of printed cotton fabric for an extra splash of texture and different feel and texture. But when I say texture, I mean like the pattern of the fabric breaks up the solid of this fabric. So I love the use of different textures and patterns. So happy. Victoria, the pattern designer, she gives fabric recommendations for this pattern, and I'm glad that she did, because when I look at this fabric, I've learned through this pattern specifically that there are two different fabrics that look like this, but the backings are different. And so she tells you which one to choose specifically with a backing. And I went and I looked for that backing, and it worked out great. But I know with my luck, I probably would have chosen the other fabric, and if I were to use that fabric, I don't think that the project would have been as much of a success as this one turned out. So I would highly recommend Victoria and her pattern for this animal. My next baby gift is the biggest project. Yep, it's the biggest project out of this whole gift basket. And I am super proud of everything that I have made. I mean, this baby, I tell you, she has made me do some things. And this surprised me. Surprised me because it came out way better than what I had imagined. This is a blanket, and I followed 2 tutorials by Jan Howell, and I will have those links down below in the description box. And the first one is how to make a self-binding blanket. But she also has another tutorial on how to add batting to a self-binding blanket. I've never made a self-binding blanket before. I've made quilts and I've made baby blankets, but I've never made a self-binding blanket. So I thought, oh, that would be fun to try. And then on top of that, I went above and beyond and I chose to add batting. I was like, I've made a quilt before. What's the big deal? Oh my gosh.
Can't be that hard.
This is Gayle in baby nesting mode. Trying new things, pushing beyond and extending my skills and just trying new things. I made a blanket, guys, and I'm so happy and excited with the way that it came out. I want one. Miko wants one.
Yes.
Fiance wants one. This is awesome. So here's my blanket. It's so super cute. Now this solid backing has a honeycomb. So I forgot to mention, parents also like Winnie the Pooh, which is the theme for the baby shower. It's Winnie the Pooh theme. So baby likes Winnie the Pooh. Or it's gonna like Winnie the Pooh. Or at least the parents like Winnie the Pooh. So I made a Winnie the Pooh themed blanket and I thought the honeycomb was perfect. And this is a nice soft plush minky fabric. And then this is just printed cotton fabric. I am super proud of myself. I did have a struggle with this particular fabric because it does stretch. And so I was having difficulty with adjusting my foot pressure on my sewing machine. So because I couldn't figure it out, I ended up hand stitching. Yes, I did do a lot of hand stitching, but it's for a labor of love. And I'm telling you, babies make me do things, crazy things, like hand stitching a stinking blanket like this big. And, well, I don't regret it. I love the way that it came out. So that was quite a challenge for me. I mean, it wasn't hard. It was just time consuming. And then adding the batting was kind of tricky, but I did it and it turned out great. I think the mitered corners turned out great, especially with the batting that I chose. So this batting is quite thick. It's a polyester batting and it was left over from another project that I had made. I wanted to use as much supplies as I had on hand so that I can make more baby things, you know?
You did.
I did. And I still have leftover fabric, by the way, which I didn't use up, but that'll end up in my stash. So I used a super thick polyester batting and I don't know if it's like half an inch, but it's pretty thick. Like, look at it. It's pretty cushiony. And that volume of thickness is what gives this blanket the impressiveness of it all. So I did, instead of quilting, I ended up hand tying. They call this hand tying with pearl cotton thread or pearly cotton thread. So I did that throughout the middle of the blanket, and then around the edges here I used my quilting foot on my sewing machine, and that I did machine sew. I wasn't about to hand quote that. So I did the stitch in a ditch technique.
Stitch in a ditch.
That's what it's called. It's a stitch in a ditch, which basically you end up stitching right where the two fabrics meet and you're stitching in the ditch. And it gave this little puffy looking texture on the border. So if you look in the back, you can see the machine stitch and then the hand tie. So it's quilted. So this is technically a quilt because it is quilted via hand tying and also this line of stitch. What this reminds me of is the Japanese kake futon. Yeah, it reminds me of the Japanese kake futon. And basically it's a quilt and it's super thick, and I've seen one of them or a couple of them in Hawaii, and when I saw it I was like, wow, that looks so nice and rich and comfortable. And I thought, wow, I would love to learn how to make one of those, you know, in the future. And lo and behold, I made this, and when I finished it, I was like, you know what it reminds me of? That thing that I wanted to make eons ago. It reminds me of the kakefuton. And that's exactly what this looks like. It's so nice. Now, this isn't something that I would recommend that you put in a baby crib, which I will have to let the parents know. But it's more like a play mat because it's so thick. I would recommend them put it on the ground and then just let baby lay on top of it, at least while baby is little. And then when she grows up bigger and safer against SIDS and all of that stuff, maybe then she can cuddle with it and, you know, drag it around the house or whatever. But yeah, until then, I would recommend that they use it more as a mat for her to lay on. But I'm super excited. I love this and I would love to make it again. I mean, especially if I can figure out that presser foot pressure issue that I have going on with my sewing machine. I will be like cranking these out. Because you know, everybody's got a request around this house. So yeah. One thing I'd like to say about this project, make sure that you know the yardage of what you need before you go to the cut counter, because when I went to the store, I knew what I was thinking about. I had all these things up here and I was like, I want to make this as big as possible. So then I thought, well, I'm going to be limited by the width of the fabric. This fabric specifically. So I thought, okay, I need to know what the width of this fabric is. So I went to the boat, I checked it out, and it was exceptionally large. I can't remember what it was, but it was exceptionally large. So I was like, okay, I'm good. I can make a nice big size blanket. And then I went to the cut counter and I was like, 1 yard. And then when I went home to cut the fabric out, I was like, oh no, I totally wasn't thinking. I have the width, but I didn't cut it to size to match the width. So I was really limited by my 36-inch yard that I had the person cut it to. So I was so bummed. So this is much smaller than I intended. But alas, I am still happy with the way that it came out. So if you're gonna do a project like this or any type of sewing project, do as they say, measure twice and cut once. Because this is not the first time that I've made this mistake.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, learn from my mistake. So while I have been working on these baby projects, I think I had an epiphany. So I realized that babies or baby showers, for whatever reason, are a very big and very strong motivator for me as a crafter. So there are 3 babies or baby showers in my lifetime that I can recall who have motivated me to pursue new crafting endeavors and also to try my hand at the very things that I've been wanting to make, but just haven't for whatever inhibitions or reasons that I might have at the moment. So for me, babies basically motivate me and push me past my comfort zone when it comes to crafting. The first baby that I can recall is my very own daughter, Miko. So when I was pregnant with her, I was in serious nesting mode. I wanted to make as many handmade gifts as possible, but my challenging endeavor was to try and learn knitting. Now, it didn't quite stick, but I did manage to finish 3 knitting projects for her. I believe I made a ball, which is now in total disarray. It's got a hole and stuffing is coming out. I made a knitted beanie and also a bib. The second baby is one of my nieces, and for her, again, I went into serious nesting mode, even though it wasn't my own baby, it was for my brother, and I was super excited for him because she is his firstborn. And so I went to town making handmade gifts, as I usually do. And I taught myself how to crochet, and that was back in 2019. And as you know, I have not put down my hook ever since. And my very first amigurumi project was this little guy, an octopus. So this, and I didn't know, I was a very naive crochet beginner, and I didn't know what kind of project to choose and what kind of projects to stay away from. But knowing what I know now, this is not a project that I would recommend to any beginner because you're using advanced techniques. I mean, I had to learn how to make these individual tentacles, but that's not the hard part. The hard part, or the challenging part, I should say, is incorporating it as one piece into the body from the top to the bottom. And I managed to do it. But mind you, I am a very visual learner, and I followed a tutorial here on YouTube, and I will have the link down below if I can find it. And I took it nice and slow, and I managed to complete it. And I had no idea what I was getting myself into. I was just picking up a hook, some yarn, and I just wanted to try it and see where it took me. And to my surprise, I finished it. I actually finished it, and I couldn't believe what my hands had made. And so because of this one little project, it has gotten me to where I am today with my current addiction and obsession to crochet and amigurumi, and now doll making. So here we are. And then the third baby is this baby. This baby has pushed me past my comfort zone. I have been procrastinating on trying to pursue one of my crafty goals, which is sewing more toys, and especially dolls. And I've tried to make sewn dolls, but it's quite challenging for me. And I have started with more advanced patterns than I should have. So I'm kind of taking a step back and taking baby steps and working my way back up to where I wanted to be. And so I have made these projects in this video that I have shared with you. And I think it has given me the confidence to pursue more challenging projects, which is working my way towards sewing dolls. And so I'm super excited, and I just wish that I had more motivation like this in my life when it comes to crafting, because I can have fears and perfectionism, and I let it inhibit me and stop me from just even trying new things. But for some reason, when I hear baby shower, I tell you, the fear, the perfectionism, it's all out the door. And all of a sudden, the world is my oyster, and if I focus on one specific project, I will go after it. Failure or not, I will pursue it. And that's exactly what we need to do as crafters, I believe. I think we just, if we have the motivation and the desire to make something, we need to kind of set aside those fears and perfectionism or whatever it is that's holding us back, and just go for it. See what happens, failure or not. And you just may be surprised at what you are capable of. And I seem to surprise myself each and every day that I make things. So I would like to encourage you to find your super motivator. Maybe it might not be a baby or a baby shower, but if you happen to have one, I would love to hear it. Please share it with the rest of us down below in the comment section, and I'm sure we would have a blast reading it. So let's get into the next project. My next baby gift is a basket. This is going to be the basket in which I put everything in and I hand over as a gift. Now this basket I found, or we found, at Walmart. Comes plain like this, very simple. And I was like, I know the baby's name. I hadn't personalized any of the handmade gifts that I had made thus far, so I thought, I've got to put her name somewhere. Why not the basket? So her theme of her shower is Winnie the Pooh. And I decided to decorate the basket with the main character, Winnie the Pooh, and her name. So I am super duper happy with the way that it came out. Now I wish that I had used brown coloring for her name instead of the harsh black, but all is said and done and I am not doing it again, so it is what it is. But I think the brown color would have matched better with the feel and theme of the Winnie the Pooh, but it's okay. I'm still super happy. Now for this applique, felt applique, I did have to do some research. At first I wanted a crochet applique. Couldn't find a pattern that I liked. Then I thought, oh, well, what about a felt applique? Did some research, didn't find anything that I liked. And then I was like, well, why don't I just make my own? So in order to do that, I had to find an image that I liked. So I went onto Pinterest and I found this image. Now, I will have whatever link that I have down below. But when I clicked on it, you know, with Pinterest, sometimes you click on those links and it brings you to some weird site. And whenever it starts looking weird at first click, I just jump out. Like, I jump ship. I don't stick around for very long. I'm just like, this looks weird, I'm out. So I didn't trust the site, but I did like the image. So what I ended up doing was and I'm not doing this to sell. And I don't recommend that you do this to sell. This is for my own personal use, and this is for gifting. Now, what I did was I screenshot the image and then I took it to my Procreate app and I modified it so that I could make my own template. And then I printed it out and I used that as a template for cutting out my pieces. And then I did attach him using glue gun. I tried Fabric Fusion, that didn't work. I think the Fabric Fusion is too thin of a adhesive or glue that it actually, the felt absorbed it before it could even touch the basket. So as soon as I put it onto the felt, it absorbed like a sponge. I put it on here and it just slid right off. So I was like, well, that's not gonna work. So I ended up choosing glue gun. And then for the name, baby name, I Googled like Winnie the Pooh font. I came across a couple of sites. I ended on this one. I'll link it down below. I ended up, so there's a section in that website where you can add a word that you want in the font and then it'll generate it. So I put in baby's name, I generated it, and then it came out with this and I was like, okay, I like it. So again, I ended up screenshot and I took it to my Procreate and then I did what I did. I printed it out, I used it as a template, cut out my felt, and then I glue gunned it onto here. I'm super happy with the way that it came out. So I have something personalized with her name, handmade galore gifts, and I need to finish up this gift giving by putting it all back in here and gift wrapping it. So I have some other things that will go into this gift basket, like this set that I found at Hobby Lobby, and also because parents like pastel and Winnie the Pooh theme, found this on Amazon. Oop, that's the back. Found this on Amazon and I super love this. This is super cute. I love the colors, I love the characters, and it's a wooden toy. I don't know about you, but something about wooden toys, I just feel like it's one of those toys that will last for generations. You know, they can pass it on from generation to generation. So I'm super loving this gift. This whole basket of gifts I am super excited for. So I hope you enjoyed our long video of baby gift giving. I hope you enjoyed our banter, and I hope to see you in our next video. Thank you for sticking around and watching. Bye!
Bye!
But look at those freckles are fierce. So you can't see the freckles in this picture, but when I looked it up and Googled it, she does have some freckles. But now that I'm seeing it on the camera, she looks like she's got some like serious 5 o'clock shadow going on her face. But baby doesn't know anything about 5 o'clock shadows, so it's freckles.
Oh my gosh.
But I'm super excited.
She just shaved this morning, guys. You can't blame her.
Oh my gosh. In person, she looks fine. But for some reason, I looked at it on camera and I'm seeing it as
She shaved.
I'm still...
Maybe it is Mr. Man in disguise.